Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Crypto Wolf back again, and today we are going to look at something a little bit different, some extra little tools you can use when looking at Bitcoin. Don't mind, I'm in a little pirate kick lately. I might even do the voice later if you hang in there. But let's see what we're looking at here. We got this pretty little rainbow looking curve going on here. This guy is the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curve, as well as the logarithmic curve zones, both turned on at the same time. I'll show you here individually. Let's see. Right here, we got the logarithmic curve zones. You know, sometimes I think I've heard it called the logarithmic regression bands, which more specifically is kind of both of them really. But so this guy right here, real quick, just to tell you what it is. If you were to take a curve along, these common low points, and then another curve here along the high points, and you threw some Fibonacci levels in between, obviously offset from those curves, you would get this. And you might ask, well, why do I give two you-know-whats about this? Well, it's a macro view thing for sure. So if you are checking out like the bull and the bear markets, obviously we're here on the Bitcoin dollar index going back to the beginning, back to the book of Genesis back here, when Satoshi, actually it's a little bit after that, because I think the white paper was like, what, 2008 or something. Here we got 2010. God, could you imagine getting it back here? A penny. Even 2 pennies. I'll pay double price. I'll pay you 2 pennies. Ugh. Only I would have listened back when I first heard about it. Wasn't that far, but shoot, it was at least what I heard about it in this 13, 14. Yeah, I think like 2014 or something. But anyways, so you're looking here, obviously you can see we got our bull market, a bear market, a bull market, and then we're coming up here on the current market. And I think the first thing that jumps out at me is like people who are saying that, are we in a bear market? Is it end of the road? Did we peak right here? I mean, looking at the previous ones should give you a little bit of perspective where, blow off top, kind of a pre-blow off top before having the official peak over here. Another parabolic blow off top. And what do we have here? We just got a couple lumps, a couple foothills. I don't see any mountains right there, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't really mean anything, honestly, because regardless, all of this is looking at the past. And I'm sure you've heard past performance is not a guarantee of future profit or future performance. But looking at this, it gives you an idea of like levels. So one thing that can be very useful with a chart like this is, should you subscribe to this theory here that we would likely stay within these bands, that this green line here is kind of our midpoint, kind of like a fair value price, if you will. And when we're above it, we're getting into this hot overbought territory. And when we're down here, closer to the purple band, that we're in like a oversold territory. And obviously things can pull back down. But as you can see, this is a logarithmic chart. So, I mean, even just this bottom band where we're currently at is about 29,000. Also, you can see here, we can go below it. I mean, it doesn't mean that it has to stay in between. Obviously, with our little COVID dip. What do we get here? About 4,000. Man, was it really that low? It's been a while since I looked at the price there. But you can see we definitely had a good amount of room to the upside according to this chart, just to clarify. You know, there are other charts where we were pushing pretty close to the top already when we were back here. But again, going on this one here. And by the way, you can add these to your Bitcoin chart in TradingView. They are in the indicator list over here. There's actually 3 of them. I only got 2 of them up right now. And just to reiterate, Bitcoin log growth curves. And the other one we'll bring back in a second, BTC log curves zones. And you can see on here, despite those names, you know, Bitcoin Fibonacci log regression, growth curves, and zones. Again, we got growth curves on right now. And I changed the colors of these a little bit. It's a lot more gray and a little tough to see. So this one, I kind of added the like the colors like the chart that I'm about to show you here in a second, just so you can quicker gauge, you know, where, you know, if we're getting heated up here, or if we're cooling down here. And obviously you can see at the moment, we are fairly low. And we're really just kind of hovering around the 382 fib level. And again, you can come in here, change settings. We got 0, 9%, 14.5, 236. So sorry, no, we're right around 236. That's the 38 right there. So hopefully that means, you know, market's not over. We're still in a reasonable little pullback here before maybe coming up. And say we were indeed to come up. I mean, right there, if you can see on the price there on the right, let me zoom this in a little for you so you can see here. I mean, just this upper band over here, we're talking 190K. To be clear, not saying that's my price prediction. I'm just saying when you look at this, we have a lot of room for sure. And still room to the downside as well. Don't discount that. But if we were to break below here, we wouldn't necessarily be in uncharted territory, but would be in like a negative price discovery area. Because, you know, we have just a lot of straight movement right here. You know, not a lot like here. You could say we have some support. Obviously here you could say we got some, or sorry, yeah, some support there, some support here. You could say probably right here is about the only other big support level is at this previous market peak. Plus we had a little cool off right in the middle right there. So even if we came down here, I mean, that's, you know, ouch. We're talking 20K. But it is certainly within the realm of possibility. So let's check out the other one. Turn this off here. The curve zones. It is essentially the same thing, except it's broken up into these 3 little colored zones. You know, your fair value price zone, your overbought, your oversold, and then a little bit of almost like a fib extension lines down here. And then what I actually had a minute ago is if you put both of them over top of each other, you can certainly see where, you know, we are indeed playing off of these fib levels. So it certainly has a little bit of validity to it. Be interesting to see if we can pull it back up here to, you know, this mid to high 50K range again. Or, you know, or this could be, you know, just a little pull up before continuing back down. Not going to get into which one I think it is. if you've been watching around, especially people who do the Market Cipher thing, you've probably been watching Crypto Face and getting a general idea of where he's feeling like things may be looking. And if you understand what you're looking at in Market Cipher, especially out here on the macro time frames, out on the weekly and the monthly, you may tend to agree a little bit. So that's those guys. You know, something interesting to look at. You know, nothing that I really keep open all the time, but you know, maybe every couple months it's worth just checking, especially when we have a large change in our macro direction. It's like we were pulling back from there, now we're starting to head up. Give you a broad idea of areas you may want to be looking at. But our next sideshow attraction is the Bitcoin Rainbow price chart. And as you can see, we have our pretty little rainbow. And we got our price. And it's a chart. Self-explanatory now. I do like how they did the legend up here. You know, it's not so dry like a lot of trading things tend to be. You know, they kept it fun. So our red level, maximum bubble territory. Our reddish orange level, sell, seriously sell. Our orange level, FOMO intensifies. Our light, call it macaroni and cheese level, is this a bubble? Our yellow level, we're in the hodl zone. Hold on for dear life. The green level, which we are currently in, the light green level to be specific, still cheap. And if you were watching on the previous one here, it does show generally about the same thing. And if you are thinking within the range of these logarithmic regression bands, we are certainly in the lower area, the lower quadrant, the cheap seats. So if you are somebody who likes to invest in Bitcoin as opposed to just trading, you know, we're in a half decent spot for buying, but that is largely going to depend on whether you think we are going back up or if we are continuing down. If we're continuing down, then at that point, obviously, you think the price is going to get cheaper. And then you have the quandary of, do you buy now, thinking that it's going to get cheaper, and then what, just buy more later? Certainly an option, you know, if you're going to DCA it, you know, dollar cost average it. It's a strategy. Or if you are fairly certain that it's going to get cheaper, do you wait it out? Which I may or may not be in that camp. But then again, it's never set in stone. If things start changing and they look like, oh shit, we're gonna get back to heading up, then you know, sometimes you got to jump in. And then continuing on, dark green is the accumulate stage. And then our turquoise-ish color is buy. Seriously, no, just buy. And then the blue stage is basically a fire sale, which I appreciate because that's something that I tend to say all the time to people, especially people who maybe they're thinking about getting into crypto, maybe they like the idea of it, but just haven't put in any effort to figure out how to get into it or what's involved. And when things are, you know, dipping down and the price is going down, and maybe they heard through here or there or the news that, oh my gosh, the Bitcoin price crashed. And I'm like, nah, bro, it just went on sale. Like, for real. Like, would you say the economy's crashing on Black Friday if everything were cheaper? Which, just a heads up, things usually aren't cheaper on Black Friday. But yeah, and that's kind of cool. You can drag it around, you know, see what the different price levels are at. maximum bubble at 250,000. It'd be nice. But again, if you are watching this, I would say keep it separate. Maybe, keep your little hodl positions, keep your basket of cryptos, keep it separate. Take custody of the keys, maybe throw it on a ledger or some kind of cold storage so that you have it, you're holding on to it, you're keeping it for years. Or if you are a little bit more involved in the market, then I would actually suggest, when you start getting up to the top of the market like that, don't necessarily have to sell all of it, but maybe you have a certain chunk that, you want to sell it at that point, wait till it comes back down, buy it back cheaper, or basically just buy more of it and play it like that. Because let's face it, for as much as it seems like everybody, just buy and hold, just buy and hodl, diamond hands, all that stuff. In reality, I mean, if you're being smart about it, say you bought, over here, and you're like, hey, you're watching, it's going up, holy crap, yeah, you're super pumped. And then it's coming down. Yeah, you kind of get one more chance, but now it's coming down again. And you're sitting there holding throughout the entire bear market. There's no way you're getting through that without the thought going through your head like, damn, I should have sold the top. So even if maybe you have two baskets of crypto, maybe you have the stuff that you throw aside and it's going to sit there forever, and one day when it goes to $1 million, you might sell your Bitcoin. And then you have your other bunch that's a little bit more fluid, a little bit more liquid, that maybe you keep on a wallet on your computer or on your phone or something. Actually, if you're doing it on the phone, by all means, make sure you back it up or back up that seed phrase somewhere else, because you carry that phone everywhere. You're probably going to lose it at some point, or it's going to get broken and you're going to be pissed. But, you take that basket and you try to sell the top. And if you're watching this and you have Market Cipher, or you plan on getting Market Cipher, believe me, the signs will be there enough that you will be able to sell the top reasonably well. Doesn't mean you have to get the absolute tippy top of the market. But trust me, on them higher time frames, you start seeing that bearish divergence toward the top of the market. You will see it. And at that point, you just need to be smart enough and take emotion out of the equation enough to sell the top right there, and then just be patient. That after you do that, that is like the number one hardest thing to do, is be patient. You might see it pull back here and starts coming up, and you say, oh man, no, shit, I sold it wrong. Oh, we're gonna keep going back up. It was just a pullback. And then if you buy back in, and okay, now you're just in the same situation. Granted, you made a little bit, just selling up here and buying back down here, which I actually made that mistake on some of it this last, over here. But thankfully, I didn't do it with everything. Actually, it was more of a mistake. I thought the order went through to sell. Came up the next morning, looked, it wasn't on the exchange page. I was like, sweet, okay. Went to work, came home, went to do a little trading, hit refresh on the page, bam, there was the order, never filled. I was like, oh. So just a heads up, be careful with that too. But all right, moving on. That was our Bitcoin rainbow price chart. Now we are going, oh, and by the way, this is from blockchaincenter.net. And as far as I know, this is the official one. I've seen some imitators, but this guy right here, we are on TensorCharts.com. And this is quite similar to a service called Bookmap. And I remember finding this forever ago, and I couldn't find it for the life of me. I couldn't remember what it was called, but I was going through the old bookmarks, up here in the browser, and I was like, what the hell is this? And bam, just happened to find it today, right when I wanted it. Not the first time I wanted it, but when I was making this video. So, you know, shout out to God on coming through in a clutch for me on that one. But as you can see, we have down here heat maps, support resistance studies, volume profile, line studies, volume studies. I've got it on the heat map right now. And you have lower precision, higher precision, color map. You can change your opacity. And so it takes a second to load sometimes. You know, it'll make these more transparent, or you can crank it up, and obviously it gets a lot brighter. Then here, you've got your minimum volume, and if you hold over, you get these little tool tips. So hide order book heat map levels if volume of pending orders is less than whatever. Doesn't necessarily give you a value as you slide it, but you get the point. If you go up higher, you won't get as much of the color showing because it's not going to show you unless it reaches a certain volume threshold. And then you got this here, trades heat map. Heat map of trades rendered directly onto candlesticks. Toggle candlesticks with C key. But you got buy sell heat map, delta heat map. If you don't know, delta means like change. But if we switch over to the buy sell, it's not terribly different. But you can see where these colors are brighter is where you are getting more orders on the books. So looking at this, you might think, okay, here's our current price where this red line is. We have a ton of orders on the books up here. So I would think that if we do pull up here, we're going to run into a lot of sell orders because there's what they call a wall on the books. So if you were looking at it, this is a poor representation, but you know, in those order books where it's constantly flickering, you know, undulating in and out, and it'll be going straight up, and then boom, you hit a wall and you have a big section above it. It's because you have a lot of orders at or around that price. So in this case, if we were coming up, there's already most likely a whole bunch of sell orders on the books just waiting for the price to come up here, which means, you know, either a bunch of large wallets have a few orders. Now this is on Coinbase Pro. I don't know what kind of volume we're talking about here really. Yeah, I'm not even gonna look, but you know, or it just could be a lot of people have orders in at that price. Looks like it's 45,000, so a bit of a psychological level. And so they're thinking, okay, if we go up to that point, I got a sell order in, gonna make me some money. Maybe they bought, you know, down here, and coming down here, you have the same, but lower. Probably have a whole bunch of buy orders. And what's this? 40K. And just real quick too, if you're not familiar with why people do that, a lot of people have their like their little moonshot order that they throw in there. So say you have your, you know, one of your trading accounts, you keep extra money in there and you set a limit order, say at 40K. On the off chance that this just happens to come down, even if it wicks down a little bit below it, your order gets filled and you get it for super cheap. And oftentimes when, you know, when something like that happens, maybe it just knifes down and then comes right back up, rather than you having to be on the exchange at that particular moment, paying attention, you know, be on top of your game. You can just set it and forget it. And then one day if it, you know, comes down, fills, awesome, got it for cheap, didn't miss the opportunity. And again, you know, you can see some fairly defined levels in here. I don't know what kind of resolution we're getting on here. These blocks are relatively big, but you can see like, you know, 40.5. Yeah, call it 41K, 41.5. So we got some psychological levels in here, probably more than anything, when you start coming off on round numbers like that. But that's the kind. Obviously, it gets a little bit more bunched up as you're near the price because there's going to be a lot more orders on the books, you know, around the price that we're at because people are trading, you know, buying and selling right around the current price. So that is that. And if you come up here, you can change between a whole bunch of stuff. You got a bunch of Binance listings, a bunch of Bitfinex, a bunch of BitMEX, Bitstamp, Deribit, CME. Whoops. Get into some futures. Son of a. Oh my gosh. Okay. You know, you got your Forex, your crypto future, your Bitcoin future right there. You got some energy sector, equity, metals, interest rates, agriculture, and come down, you get your Coinbase Pro. I had it on the Binance Bitcoin previously, but I was just curious to see how the Coinbase was looking, if it had, you know, any more orders or a little better definition here. And don't forget, son of a, these are pairings, so, you know, Binance coin to BTC. Keep in mind, you know, you're not getting the US dollar amount on that one. So you also get, you know, perpetual contracts and regular. Perpetual is going to be, you know, more leverage trading on that one. Let's do the regular. Okay, that loaded a lot faster. That was nice. And you can see zoomed in here. Definitely get a little bit more definition. You could see between the colors a little better, between the red and green. The chart is not the most intuitive. You can drag it around and you can slide your scales. But it's not quite like TradingView. If you hold control and scroll the mouse wheel, it will not, you know, lock to position and zoom. It'll make all this stuff bigger or smaller, which, yeah, I probably did by accident. There we go. So just something potentially useful, especially if you're looking for something similar to Bookmap, but, you know, you don't want to pay for the subscription, which I feel you. Check out these support resistance level highlights. X largest volume points by traded volume within current chart range. Hit S to increase, R to decrease. I don't know. Let's see. What does that give us? Market depth meter. I don't know. Only in paid subscriptions. Well, there you go. Check a volume profile. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, we already know what that is. If you don't know, that's that fixed range volume profile, just like in TradingView. What's this? Line studies. I don't see. Holy crap. See, man? Control a mouse wheel. I'm so used to doing it. I can't use anybody else's charts anymore. Oh, well. You get the point. You know, you could change your candlesticks, Heikinashi, all that good stuff. It's been so long since I played with this site. All right. Yeah, just checking stuff out here. And last but not least, wow, that's bright. Over on Femex, they had this nice little page. And, you know, I'll throw a link in the description to this page because they do have some other stuff that I'm sure you've probably heard of. But the one that I want to show right now, which is a little less shown, you know, because you get a lot of the on-chain metrics that, you know, people are always talking about. Whether it's useful or not is up for debate. I guess it's up to whether you believe it's useful or not. But this one's just kind of interesting. This is the net unrealized P&L. So you got your net unrealized profit loss, difference between relative unrealized profit and relative unrealized loss. If you don't know what that is, that just means whether or not your current position is in a profit or a loss. You know, you haven't sold it yet. It's just people's open positions. And it reflects how much of Bitcoin's circulating supply is at a profit or a loss at any given point. Now, obviously, that takes into account wherever those coins were purchased and where the price is relative to that purchase price at the moment. And looking at this guy here. Now, it's not an interactive chart. Got to go to Glassnode to get the interactive. And if you don't know about like Glassnode and those, what's the other one, like CryptoQuant or something like that, it'll give you a free version, but it won't show you like the most recent 3 or 6 months or something like that. So it's really only historical unless you're paying the subscription. But just taking a look here, you can see, so net unrealized P&L is our little colored line, and this up here is our price. And you can see as the price moved on, you know, like over here during this little bull market run, you know, most people were in profit. And then as we kind of peaked, started coming back. Obviously, it depends. Like if a lot of people are buying, you know, if they're buying the top, if they're FOMOing in, as soon as this pulls down, you're going to have more toward the loss side. And here's your zero line right there. So, you know, when you're up above here, that says most Bitcoins in circulation are in profit. And obviously, if you are at the all-time high or you're at the peak, you know, pretty much anything purchased prior to that day or hour is going to be in profit. But it's just something interesting, a little different. You know, and then you got the stock to flow model. I'm sure you probably heard of the stock to flow model. You know, everybody talks about it. People swear by its holiness, to be respected and listened to. Yeah. Got your little, what do we call this? Your little color scale going on here. And again, we're just looking at it now. It's been a while, and we're pretty damn low on the color scale right there. If you don't know what it is, you know, you can come through here, check this page out. They got a bunch of different stuff. Again, they're not live charts, but if you want those, you know, hop on over to Glassnode or any of these places. You know, your spend output profit ratio, again, got it on Glassnode. This one you could do right there in your TradingView chart is the 200 weekly moving average. And you can kind of see, just looking back here, where it played pretty well as support, you know, up through like 2020 there. What else they got here? On-chain metrics of BTC addresses with 100 Bitcoin plus balance. Yeah, this is like the, how they call it, the whale wallet chart. I don't know. I don't necessarily use it. Oh, here we go. So, logarithmic growth indicator, like I was showing you at the beginning. MVRV, Z-score. And it's nice. They tell you, you know, how to use it, what's all going on in the chart. But that's that. Over on Femex. Again, I'll throw a link to all three of these in the description. So if you should be so inclined, you can play around down there. Real quick, I'll show you this guy, that, you know, Fibonacci logarithmic rainbow is basically the same as that first one, except it mirrors it to the downside. So it's almost acting as if, you know, this lower line is the median in the middle, which doesn't really make much sense because, I mean, we're barely ever below it, according to this. So much for that one. But yeah, that's kind of nice. So, oh, that's I was going to mention this too. There's also other charts in TradingView that would probably fit along the lines of this video. And it's these guys up here. You've got Bitcoin Historical Volatility Index. And it is not the most super useful chart, but it just measures volatility. You know, it's kind of like your VIX in the stock market. Let's see where we at here. Going back, we'll go to a higher time. Let's do the weekly. Yeah, so we're going back to 2017. You can see obviously big spikes in volatility. Right now we've been pretty much going sideways, so it's actually kind of going down at the moment too, but you know, despite how much everybody says, you know, Bitcoin is so volatile, and we've really been fairly chill for, aside from some spikes July of last year. And obviously if it's going down, it means we are kind of going sideways on the price chart. But that's BVOL24H. Then you got this guy, Market Cap Bitcoin Dominance. I'm sure you've probably heard of Bitcoin dominance. And that is basically saying when Bitcoin is more dominant, that the rest of the crypto market is following pretty closely. You know, if Bitcoin's going up, other stuff's going up. If Bitcoin's going down, other stuff's going down. Now, this doesn't mean, you know, if the dominance is going up, doesn't mean Bitcoin's price is going up. Because again, you know, Bitcoin dominance could be shooting up while the price is shooting down, but all the altcoins are going down too. And that's all that means. So if, you know, they say when Bitcoin dominance is down low like this, that, you know, it's altcoin season. I don't know where everybody's at with that one, because we're, in the macro sense, pretty far down. So are we still in an altcoin season? Or is it only when we're trending down that people say we're in an altcoin season? Who knows? Honestly, everything's been following pretty close with Bitcoin lately, which kind of lends credence to our little upward trend here. And then we have Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin. And as you can see, it is a fairly mirrored chart to the price. And this one is based off of liquidity, I think. But honestly, it's basically just a normal index. See how far back it goes. I heard somebody say something about liquidity one time, but honestly, I kind of doubt it. If anything, it just looks just like the regular Bitcoin index. If you know different, let me know. And Bitcoin USDT open interest. This one is specific to Binance. And obviously open interest is, you know, like active, you know, leverage trades. Because when you leverage trade, you're technically borrowing money. And when you borrow, they are collecting interest. So open interest, open leveraged trades. And the higher it is, and it's not much of a chart right there, but you know, the higher it is, the more people trading. Also, people trading with higher leverage. Again, not terribly useful for like yourself for trading, but just little things you might hear people talk about. And if you hear them mention it, now you know what it is. This guy here, Bitcoin CME Futures, need no explanation. Chicago Mercantile Exchange. These are the Bitcoin futures traded on the commodities market. And the only one thing with this is because it is on the futures market, they go by the same hours as, New York Stock Exchange. At least I think they're the same. Close enough. Where, they halt Friday afternoon, pick back up Sunday afternoon, evening. And so you get what they talk about, that CME gap. And the CME gap is, the price action that's moving around in between that close Friday and open Sunday. So a lot of people say that, on Sunday or Monday that the price likes to come back and fill in the CME gap. Not always the case for sure. Sometimes it will, but yeah, think what you want on that one. And we're just getting into the regular Bitcoin. This guy here, just the regular Bitcoin index historical chart. Take it back to the days. This is a terrible chart to be doing that with. But there you go. There's Bitcoin in a nutshell right there for you. And if you are using these log curves, best to do it on an index like this where you have, the entire history going back. And if you are trying to search, obviously it has a similar name, BTC USD. So what you want to do, you could do this and scroll down until you see index, or just do that. And you've got a whole bunch of different ones, but I don't even know what premium interest is. Crypto index. Interesting. Yeah, they're around there somewhere. I'm not scrolling through it. Oh, and real quick, I'll throw these in here too. These total and total 2. So the first one, just regular total crypto market cap. And that is the entire market cap for all of crypto, including Bitcoin. I probably don't need that anymore. And total 2 is the altcoin market cap. So everything except for Bitcoin. You can see there's a little bit of difference here. Bitcoin's cap is up a little bit, where altcoins are just about a doji star. But all right, that's it. I don't know, hope you guys found something interesting. If nothing else, now you know what some of these guys are talking about when they mention some of this stuff, like Bitcoin dominance. People talk about that one pretty frequently. And, if you're into the on-chain metrics thing, that's cool. If there's, something more you want to see, if you want me to go over something in particular, explain what it is, how it works, let me know down in the comments. We'll dig through it together. We'll learn it together. Otherwise, if you watched this long, I guess you earned a little look at Market Cipher for now. What do we got here? Big green dot down on the bottom. All right, you know what? This is driving me nuts. We gotta zoom this back out. It's too big. Too beaucoup. All right, downtrending. Yeah, money flow coming up. Could be coming out of this, at least over here on the 15-minute. Have the momentum wave coming up. This guy's got some more room to the upside. These guys are pointed up, but kind of clipping over a little bit. Not quite as important as, you know, the money flow and the VWAP there. But shoot over to the 1 hour. Yeah, we're kind of bouncing sideways, pulled down, pulled right back up, pulled down. If this momentum wave does something like that, you could kind of call it bullish divergence. It's a little tough because technically this is lower than that. But like this one and this one are the same. You can almost call it a double bottom with bullish divergence if it plays out like that. It might be a stretch of the terms, but also split RSIs as we're coming down. So sign of weakness there. It'd be nice to see this RSI bounce back up. Either between the 50 or 60 there. Yep, VWAP's making its way up. It's heading up. Still got a little bit of breathing room there. 4 hour. Again, money flow just not looking hot. These guys have been split since all the way back here. But if they're going to split, at least it split while it was weak, but it stayed split. Granted, came back together a little bit, you know, as we pumped up. I'd say this gap right here is a little smaller than this one, so, you know, it's a little bit weaker to the bear side. Not much. Yeah. I'd almost be watching for something like that next. That's probably my guess. Now, obviously, it'll zigzag its way down there. Maybe till it gets to the end and just straight drop candle. Take a look at ETH real quick. Dude, I hit escape, really. Bouncing around in this little pattern over here. Potential pattern. Only really got 2 points down there. We got about 3 up there, so that's a good sign. More than likely gonna come down and test this support. I'd say if we hit that support, bounce up only a little bit, get rejected off of this resistance level, come back and retest this, there's a good chance that we're coming down. But also keep in mind, man, we've been getting a lot of fake outs. All right, it's always been a thing, but I think I just saw one not too long ago on a different chart. Actually saw a little bit in the Bitcoin, but I think I deleted that pattern already. But that's where we're at. Hope everybody has a fantastic day, morning, evening, week. You know, if you're going to work, keep your head up, grind it out. Even if your job sucks. You know, the pain and strife will only make you stronger. All right. Later.